You're listening to the Otis Jiry channel.
Stranded, The Howl of the Dogman by JARVIS B, performed by Otis Jiry. This is WJBC News 98, your 24-hour news radio station, with the important news at the top of the hour and when it breaks. State officials have called off the search for an elderly couple who were reported missing 2 weeks ago near Foothill Canyon State Park. The couple had reportedly gone camping for the weekend. Their RV was found abandoned in a nearby campground. Officials remain baffled and have asked for the public's help in finding this elderly couple. If you have any information regarding their whereabouts, please contact your local police. In other news, the County Wildlife Service has also reported an increase in animal poaching in the last 3 months. The county has had to dispose of several partially dismembered carcasses left by the poachers. County officials want to warn the public that they can be charged with the crime of wanton waste if they kill an animal and do not salvage all of its edible meat. Turn off that stupid radio, Abby. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know what I'm looking for. I yelled at Abby. I told you you should have had your car serviced before we left on such a long trip. Okay, Laura Bill, I know, enough. We're going to be a couple of sorry out-of-work nurses if we don't get our butts to Atlanta in 2 days, I reminded her. This was not a good start to our new career as nurses. Just a few months ago, we had graduated from the same hospital nursing program. We'd gotten lucky and stumbled upon a recruiter from a major medical corporation who practically hired us on the spot to work in a hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. We sold everything that we owned to put down first and last month rent on a tiny apartment. We packed up everything and shipped it on ahead. Now it was all going to fall apart if we don't show up for work in the next few days. This whole trip has been a disastrous miscalculation. The gas and food have cost us double what we thought. We spent the first 2 days of our trip sightseeing and lost so much time that way. And now this. I turned to Abby. Look, I have tried everything I know about cars. I made sure the connections to the car battery are tight. I also checked all the hoses to make sure they're all attached and have no cracks. You check the oil and water, and they're fine. The car still does not want to move. Face it, we need help. Abby looked at me. What are we going to do? Our cell phones are dead because my shitty cigarette lighter doesn't work. Look, I said, one of us needs to go for help while the other stays here with our suitcases and stuff. There is no one traveling this shortcut the waitress at the truck stop bragged about. I waved my hand at the dirt road. Abby reluctantly nodded her head. The waitress had convinced us both that we could save hours cutting across using this shortcut. Now, I am glad we didn't tip her, mostly because we were short on money. Abby put her hand on her forehead and exclaimed, Crap! It's like at least 15 to 20 miles back to the truck stop in this heat. I looked up at the sky. The sun's starting to go down. It should cool down soon enough. Abby looked up and stared at me. Okay, who's going? Only one way to be fair. We flip a coin. Abby immediately said, I'll call tails. Okay, I replied. I pulled a quarter out and flipped it. Oh my God, it's heads, I yelled out in joy. We both agreed that if someone were to pass by here, I would make them take me to the truck stop. Abby promised that she would walk to the truck stop and either call a tow truck or get the sheriff. Abby changed into her sneakers and put on her backpack. I gave Abby our last bottle of water, my green sun visor, and pointed her in the right direction. I watched her walk over the small hill and out of sight. The place we broke down was in the middle of some foothills. It seemed like a small valley, nothing but trees and yellow grass, until the next hill ahead. I went to the trunk and pulled out my blanket, that my grandmother had made for me and grabbed my purse. My grandmother was the one that raised me after my parents died when I was 7. My grandma was a widow by then. She worked for Holden's cafeteria chain back home for nearly 30 years. Between the both of us working and financial aid, I was able to swing nursing school, and that's where I met Abby. She had been a medic in the Army and was going through school on the GI Bill. Grandma was so happy for us when Abby and me got hired. I was hoping to convince Grandma to move down to Atlanta with me when she retired next year. I walked up a small hill near the car, put my blanket down under a tree to get some shade. There was a nice cooling wind blowing. I decided I would wait here until the sun went down, then sit in the car until help arrived. Used my purse as a pillow and stretched out on the blanket. I was plumb tired. We had been up since the crack of dawn, and we missed, with that stupid car, for over an hour. I need some rest. Shit! I sat straight up and opened my eyes to the clear night sky. What time is it? I must have fallen asleep. I raised my wrist to my face, only to realize my watch must still be in the car. I took it off earlier to go over the engine. I looked down the hill to see the car was still broken down on the side of the road. I got up, picked up my blanket, and walked down the hill. As soon as I got to the car, I opened the door and grabbed my wristwatch off the dash. It had been 3 hours since Abby had left. I hope she gets help soon. I really don't want to spend the night here alone. I put away my stuff in the back seat, got into the driver's seat, and locked all the doors. My stomach rumbled. I felt hungry. I looked in the back seat and found Abby's doggy bag for lunch. Yeah, she only ate half her club sandwich and was saving the other half for later. Well, guess what? It's later. I quickly unwrapped the sandwich and shoved most of it in my mouth. And yeah, I know. Very unladylike and kind of a cold move, eating Abby's food, but she's not here and the sandwich will just go to waste, and then no one would enjoy it. It was pretty good. Tasted better than my tuna salad on wheat I had back at the coffee shop. Or maybe I was just so hungry that anything would taste good to me right now. I turned the car key, then flipped on the radio to listen to some music while I ate. There were only faint signals coming in. I could only tune in a news station and a country station playing Drop Kick Me Jesus through the goalposts of life. I got frustrated and just turned the radio off. Great. Stranded with nothing to do. I finished up my sandwich and put the used wrapper in the bag and tossed it into the back seat. I looked out the car window. This place was pitch black, even with the moon and stars. I looked around at all the surrounding hills. I then had an idea. If I can climb all the way to the top of the hill I was sleeping on, I could maybe get a better view of the valley. I might spot a roadway or a house with their lights on, something within walking distance. At least it would give me something to do. Might get us out of here sooner and back on the road to Atlanta. I took the keys out of the ignition, but left the car door unlocked just in case Abby came back before me. I once again walked up the hill, past the spot I had taken a nap. I was surprisingly winded when I got to the top of the hill. I could see some of the small valley, but no car headlights or homes. I turned around and saw a bigger hill behind me a couple of miles away. Maybe I could get an even better view if I climbed that hill. I thought to myself. I might even find the highway and flag somebody down or find an emergency call box. I walked down a small incline into a dense patch of trees. I stopped and rummaged through my purse for my nurse's pen light. Found it. It would not provide a lot of light, but it was better than nothing. The big hill was at least a few miles away. I began to walk through the trees and headed for the hill, and then heard the distinct sound of a truck. The sound kept growing louder and seemed to be coming from behind me. It must be coming down the road where we broke down. I heard a big bang and then a sound of a whimpering dog. I immediately ran out of the woods and back down the hill, only to see the truck drive out of sight. No! I missed my chance of getting us out of here. I walked down the hill towards the car, sat down on the side of the hill, and just felt defeated. I hope Abby gets back soon. As I sat there, I started to hear a low-pitched sound. I looked around and saw nothing. I should get back in the car. No telling what's out here at night, I thought to myself. I stood up when I heard a very distinct growling coming from some bushes. I couldn't see anything, but the sound kept on coming closer. I stopped moving and just stood, frozen in place. I saw the outline of something coming towards me, and a pair of yellowish eyes coming out of the darkness. The bright moonlight lit up a figure crawling on the ground. It appeared to be a coyote or a dog. It had a combination of light and dark fur. The shape of its head and its dark-rimmed eyes kind of reminded me of a German shepherd. I could see that part of its face was covered in something dark. It stopped crawling and sat there just shaking like it was cold. It started to growl louder. After getting a better look at the stuff on its face, it looks like blood. Then it hit me. Oh my God! This dog must have been hit by the truck. That's why I heard a dog's whimpering after the bang. Oh, poor boy. No wonder it's shaking. It's probably really hurt. I walked slowly towards it. After all, it's a wild animal, and I didn't want to startle it. As I stepped closer, I began to notice it was a pretty big dog. It let out a very deep and menacing bark. I stopped walking. It started to bare its teeth at me. Without breaking its gaze, it slowly began to move. It managed to sit up on its front legs. It then moved its left, very long paw back and brought up its left leg, and then slowly raised itself upright onto its hind legs. At first I could not comprehend what I was seeing. This dog just got up off its 4 legs and stood upright like a man. It stood at least 6 feet tall. It appeared to have blood on its fur all along the right side of its body. It held its right arm bent and close to its body as if injured. Its right leg was at an unnatural angle and appeared much different than the left. Its pointy ears slowly moved back, and it started to crouch down as if it were about to attack. It leapt forward. I then heard a sound I only heard once while training as a nurse, the unmistakable sound of a bone breaking. The creature let out a scream, then fell to the ground, and I ran back a few steps. Then it howled very long and very eerie howls. I started to run up the hill. It saw me run and tried to move, but screamed out in pain. I got up to the top of the hill and into the patch of woods. There I stopped and hid behind a tree. From my view, I could see the creature struggling to get up on its feet. It would briefly stand, but as soon as he put any weight on its broken leg, it would fall back to the ground. It finally stopped struggling and laid on its back. I could hear it whimpering. I ducked back behind the tree and contemplated my next move. I didn't know what that thing was or how it came to be here. All I knew was it was hostile, and I needed to get as far away from it as I could. It was severely injured, yet it still wanted to lunge at me. I thought of running to the car. It might give me some protection from that dogman, or whatever it was. But it's an older car with windows, and that thing, even injured, looks pretty strong. Plus, I don't want to be trapped inside not knowing when help is going to arrive. My best bet would be to keep moving. Depending on its injuries, I might be able to outrun it. If I can cut through these woods and up that hill, I may make it out of here. I checked my watch. Where are you, Abby? I then peeked around the tree to see how it was doing. To my surprise, it was gone. I came out from behind the tree. My stomach sank. Was that thing just playing possum? The creature was not as injured as I had thought. Fuck! I immediately turned and began running through the woods. That thing is on the loose out here with me. It's obviously got up without making a sound. Is it possibly intelligent? I gotta get out of here. I stopped briefly to catch my breath. I leaned up against a tree and tried to see if I could hear or see anything chasing me. I didn't see or hear anything. I then caught the whiff of a strong odor. It was coming from straight ahead of me. I took out my penlight and shined it in the direction of the smell. I found part of a rotting corpse lying on the floor. There were flies all over it. I saw a partial rib cage, and as I flashed my light nearby, I saw a human skull, with some of its flesh still attached. It was badly decomposed, but I could see it had a patch of hair on it that appeared either white or gray. I felt like throwing up due to the smell. I put my hand over my nose. This must be that thing's hunting ground. I then heard a loud howl come from nearby. That was too close. I began to run again. That hill must be further away than I had thought. It didn't seem to be getting any closer. I was running when I heard a howl come from somewhere ahead of me. I stopped and immediately changed directions. Oh, God. How did that thing get in front of me? Did that thing figure out somehow that I was going for the hill? And is he trying to cut off my means of escape? Just to the right of me, I heard what sounded like trees falling. Something sounded like it was crashing through the forest towards me. I stopped in the middle of a small clearing and heard a loud growling coming from behind me. As I turned around, the moonlight illuminated the battered figure of this ungodly creature. It stood there, growling, baring its fangs at me. Not even being hit by a truck slowed this thing down. It appeared to be dragging its broken leg behind it. Its yellow eyes shined in the dark. I felt the sweat start to form on my forehead as I thought to myself I would have to try and run for it. I then heard growling coming from the right and left of me. I saw 2 other sets of eyes come out of the darkness to join the creature. There were 2 other dogmen. The color of their fur and markings were different, but there was no mistaking they were the same species. When the dogman howled earlier, he must have been calling out for help. The 2 dogmen appeared to be much taller and bigger than the injured creature. I almost got the impression that the injured one may have been their younger brother or the runt of the litter. "My God," I said as the 3 leaped forward toward me at the same time. I turned to run. "No!" "Sheriff, this is Deputy Mills. Got your ears on? Over." I was on my way back from the O'Neill crime scene when I came across an abandoned car just a few miles up the road. The vehicle was unlocked. I had a look around and couldn't find the driver, so I searched the car and found some documents. I found 2 diplomas from a county hospital nursing school for a Laura Bell Fowler and an Abby O'Neill. The name Abby O'Neill matches the identification we found on that body down the road. From the name on the registration, this must be the dead girl's car. No, that's a negative, Sheriff. I can't seem to find hide nor hair of Miss Fowler. Could she be the one who maybe killed O'Neill, then ran? I'm curious to see what the medical examiner identifies as the murder weapon. The poor girl was ripped apart by something razor sharp. Someone must have really hated the O'Neill girl to have done that to her. I'm going to secure the vehicle and call a tow truck to have it taken to the police garage so we can conduct a more thorough search of the car later. Over. Sorry, Sheriff. Say again? Can you repeat that? Sorry, some damn dog was howling and I couldn't hear the last part. No, negative, I don't need backup. I'll just wait for the tow truck, then I'll get back to the station. Mills out. That last howl sounded awful close. Oh well, it's only a dog anyway.